Let's go back to the restaurant for a minute. Eve was used to my preoccupation by that point. I'd gotten up in the middle of a conversation countless times to answer a call, and he always took it in stride. He accepted the way things were. At least I thought he had. But when I came back to the table this time, the mood was heavy. It was the first time I'd left a conversation where we'd been talking about connecting more deeply and making more time for each other. That heaviness was a wake-up call. I became painfully aware of my lack of boundaries and of the fact that my habits were just as bad as my decisions. When I spit my food out in my napkin and picked up the phone, it wasn't a decision, it was a reaction. Second nature. I'd made such a habit out of prioritizing leads over everything else that it had become a reflex. And to some extent, I already knew that. In fact, I had told myself I was going to make a conscious decision to be less reactive. When I told the lead that I couldn't talk to them at 7 p.m. because of my date with Eve, I thought I was making big strides towards doing just that. Obviously, I was wrong. In that moment, I felt like a huge disappointment to both of us. You know that feeling when your parents or someone you care about is mad at you, so you try to overcompensate? That's what I did when I sat back down. I made stupid jokes to get Eve to laugh, purely out of shame and guilt. And that conversation about our future, there was no going back. We returned to surface-level conversations, and when we were quiet, it was an awkward silence. The dynamic between us had completely changed. Eve and I were talking about having kids at the time, and I knew I couldn't keep going like this if we were going to make that happen. Our only option would be to have a nanny raise our child. I don't mean this as a judgment against anyone who takes that route. If it works for you, great, but it wasn't what I wanted. Eventually, I realized the time was never going to be right. I was never going to have the lifestyle I wanted or be the person I wanted to be for the people that I loved. Not until I changed the actual structure of the way I was doing things. It was after dinner when I realized that I couldn't just change my behavior. If I was actually going to get better, I had to change the business. That meant resetting it so that I didn't have to be so reactive all the time. I knew there had to be a healthier way to live, and I knew I was smart enough to figure it out. My mom was a real estate agent, and she never missed a single event. If she could do it, couldn't I? If I was going to learn how to create a business structure that allowed me to do the things I wanted to do, I was going to have to experiment and research. I started by looking into other industries, ones where people made a lot of money without as much outright effort. I had to look at how they avoided being reactive and then figure out how to modify and customize their strategies to work in the real estate industry. I was determined to get myself out of the old ways of thinking about real estate. I was never prepared to cold call and door knock and manually prospect. I'm a mega introvert, so speaking to that many people every day exhausts me. It wasn't something I was ever going to enjoy, no matter how much I tried. I've never been a believer in motivation. If you build a business that's purely based on your own motivation, then you will set yourself up to fail because no human being is motivated every single day. That fact is the reason why so many social media influencers have made millions and millions of dollars teaching all of this raw motivational nonsense and pumping people up every day. It's just not how humans work, but we keep trying. If you're interested in taking a deeper dive into motivation, pick up Willpower Doesn't Work by Benjamin Hardy. You'll be glad you did. My answer was to create a business that would keep running on the days that I was sick or on vacation, or I just wanted to spend an afternoon picking apples with my husband. I wanted a business that didn't rely on me turning the wheel. In order to achieve that, I had to start by bringing real estate marketing into the 21st century.